So, Yoga Sutra, Book 2, number 15. To one of discrimination, everything is painful indeed, due to its consequences. The anxiety and fear over losing what is gained, the resulting impressions left in the mind to create renewed cravings, and the constant conflict among the three gunas, which control the mind. So I'll read and then I'll go over the gunas real quick. Here, Patanjali gives a very important sutra and a great truth in the spiritual field. If we could only contemplate this for at least a little while daily, our lives would be completely transformed. All experiences are painful for the person of spiritual discrimination. In this world, all experiences that come from outside through the world, through nature or material things, are ultimately painful. Amanda's coming in. Now, none can give everlasting happiness. They may give temporary pleasure, but they always end in pain. Even the enjoyment of our present pleasures is usually painful because we fear its loss. Imagine you have a high position, appreciated by hundreds. I'm just muting everyone. Imagine you have a high position, appreciated by hundreds of people. Everybody says you're a great person. Gradually, you learn to love that position. It's nice to be admired by everybody, to have hundreds of devotees around, thousands of disciples across the country. This is really fine, but a fear might simultaneously come in. Suppose I lose this position. If my disciples leave me one after another, what will happen to me? Where's the pleasure in the position then? Or perhaps you accumulate money. I have seen people who rush to the stock market page as soon as they see a newspaper. If their stocks rise just 1% over the previous day, they're ecstatic until they see the next day's paper. Towards evening, their tension will build up. All night they are restless, waiting to see the morning's paper. Do they really enjoy their money? No, because they want to possess it. All our so-called pleasures bring in the fear of losing them. We might lose our position, our money, or our beauty. There are even people who insure their eyes, noses, earlobes, even fingers and toes. They become anxious about even touching things. They are always tense. It's all right to have a beautiful face. It's all right to have anything, as long as you don't let these things bring you anxiety and fear. If they come to you, let them come. Enjoy their process. But when they go, enjoy their departure too. When they come alone. So allow them to go alone without losing your mind along with the external object. Past pleasures are painful because renewed cravings arise from the impressions they leave in the mind. Once I had a beautiful car. I don't know when I'm going to get another one like it. Whenever you see someone with such a car, it will make you unhappy. You'll be reminded of all your old high times. In reality, nothing is bad in this world, but the three gunas are forever tossing the mind. What you enjoy one minute, you hate the next. When you're in a good mood, your children may come and play with you, but when you're in a terrible mood, you say, "Get out, don't disturb me." Real pleasure comes from detaching ourselves completely from the entire world and standing aloof, making use of the world as a master of it. Only in that can we have pride. I am not saying that because everything is painful, we should run from it. That doesn't work. Wherever we go, the world follows. If you don't understand the world and attempt to run away, you can never succeed. I have seen people who cannot run their own homes or cooperate with their families. Say, "I'm disgusted, I renounce. I don't want anything. I'm going into the spiritual field to meditate and practice yoga." You try to run away from your family life, but once you come to an ashram, you face a whole new home and family. At least in the original family, You knew the people, and those people probably had a little consideration for you. In an ashram, all the faces are new. In the beginning, there isn't much affection. Each person may have his or her own problems. So when you can't adapt yourself to your known family, how can you accept to adapt to an unknown group? A known devil is much better than an unknown one. Wherever we are, we have to learn to handle things properly. We can't always change environments, running here and there. But once we know how to handle one small family, we can handle a large group. A family life is a training place for public life. If you can't face a sharp word from your mate, how can you face such words from a stranger? The world is a training place where we learn to use the world without getting attached. Instead of saying, to one a discrimination, everything is painful, it becomes, to one a discrimination, everything is pleasurable. A person with such an understanding has the magic wand to convert everything into happiness. Pleasure and pain are but the outcome of your approach. The same world can be a heaven or a hell. The way to begin, though, is with the feeling. It is all painful. Let me detach myself. Let me not become involved in it. Let me not approach the world with selfish motives. Once this is accomplished, you see with a different vision. You begin to use the world for a different purpose, and you experience happiness. Before you learn to swim, water seems to be a dreadful place. Suppose I drown. What will happen to me? But once you learn to swim, you love the water. The world is like that. You have to learn to swim in this ocean of samsara to become a master swimmer. And it's like, whew, it's so much, this one. I'm gonna unmute everyone. So the gunas we covered before, and that's tamas, rajas, and sattva. And it's in all things. It's in the way we think, the way, what habits we pick can be good for us or not. Tamas is darkness and lethargy, dullness, heaviness. Rajas is energy, emotion, activity. And sattva is more finding what helps us come to harmony and balance. So I feel like this one sutra ties like 10 different things that we went over in the past, I think it's been 5-6 weeks. I don't even remember. But it has a lot. There's a huge reminder about how we get attached to things, and that attachment, whether it's to a position, we can get attached to people, we can get attached to things, and because of that attachment, then we can't even enjoy whatever it is that is might be a good thing in the moment, because we're just holding on to it for dear life, and then fear sets in, the fear of losing it, or the fear from change, because in reality, this materialistic stuff, whatever it might be, it's not going to last forever, because nothing ever does. He says how in reality, nothing is bad in the world. And that's when the gunas come in. If we somehow could learn to really just be in the moment and appreciate everything for what it is without the clinging of attachment, then everything can serve us in a right manner rather than bringing suffering. Being aware, like where it says, when you're in a good mood, your children may come and play with you. To me, that really speaks about awareness in terms of being aware of where we are, where our mindset is in that moment, or in or that day. The same experience, the same exact thing. And I watch, like, it's something that I pay attention to. I've learned to pay attention to a lot. It could be the same thing happening, right? And if I'm not all okay up here and I'm in my crappy hole, everything around me feels like that. And you get the same exact thing happening the following day, or even just a few moments later. And because there's been a shift, through being mindful, then that same experience feels fine or feels good rather than a negative feeling. And then he talks about the importance of staying put and how our family is a playground where we get to learn to deal with everything else around us. And that family could be whoever. It could be your community. It doesn't necessarily have to be, well, right now we're all stuck with our immediate family. So it's pushing us even more to like filter through all this stuff and work with all of this stuff, because you really can't. The most you can do is go for a walk. But I spent years, like before I met Pierre, my now husband, I spent years bouncing around. I was a flight attendant. I traveled the whole world, and I could not even imagine like being put in one place. And before that, I used to quit my jobs after 9 months. I don't know, it was my trigger. I have no explanation for it. But at 9 months, I was like, peace out, I'm done. And it's really, when I look back, there was all this running away from all this stuff that comes up. And it's easy. It's really hard to stay and deal with the stuff that comes up. But if you don't deal with it, you could be on the opposite end of the world and something happens and all of that just blows in your face and you start from scratch again because you weren't able to work through it. A lot of times we think that I wish I could just be in a cave by myself so I can just sit in peace and quiet. But in reality, when you think about that, and like, especially this group, we all meditate. How many times have we actually got the time to sit in a quiet room and, all right, you sit down, you're gonna switch off, and you don't really switch off, because the truth is, whatever it is that we're working through, we gotta find, I don't know if responsibility is the right word, but being responsible to sit with that. And what was that? We did a sutra recently where the one with the arrows for the karmas, having to sit with whatever it is so we can redirect that arrow, that we have control over that karma, so we can start making changes. Anyone else? Anyone has any thoughts?
I do. So it's so funny that this is the sutra that this is the exact sutra that came up when yesterday Venus went retrograde. And it's like, it's a weird time because like astrologically, I'm not an astrologer, but I'm starting to learn. And like all these things are happening, or the skies are revealing to us what's happening, and what it's calling us to do is examine our relationships, our intimate relationships with our family. So I think it's really interesting that he talks, that this sutra lands on a day like today when I just learned about this. And it's asking us to look at like why other people's opinions of us matter so much, and what it is in our relationships that aren't working. And it's time to dive deep, like why aren't they working? Like, it's so easy to be, like, I like his analogy about the ashram. You go to an ashram and there's nothing but strangers, and then you have to work out your stuff with people that you don't know. And sometimes we can be the coldest, the meanest, the most like blunt with the people that we love the most. And I like that this time is really, first of all, we've been stuck at home for a long time. So either you're loving it or you want to kill everybody. And it's like, there's this invitation to look at, like, what does love mean to you? And where in your love relationships can you put more attention? How can you like unravel because I feel like none of this matters. Honestly, none of this matters if you live alone. If you go and live in a cave somewhere, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're messy. It doesn't matter if you're clean. It doesn't matter if you eat meat, if you don't eat meat. None of those things matter if you're alone, because you're the one deciding, you're the one choosing, you're the one, there's no one else to lean on. So there's plenty of autonomy and there's plenty of like sovereignty over your choices. But when you start to live with other people, it's in relationship that you learn. I think the sutras are not written. Well, I don't know if they were. I don't know why they were written. I wasn't there, but I don't think they were written for people who want to go and live, you know, like a saintly life all by themselves in the hills. I think this is for people who are the opposite, people who are in relationship with others, people who have an active lifestyle in community, because it's with people that you learn about yourself, and it's with people that you burn off karma. It's with people that you learn to grow. And without those people, I mean, if you want to be a nasty person, or if you want to be a pig, or if you want to be, you know, whatever it is you're reaching for, if you live by yourself in a cave, like, who cares? Do whatever you want. But it's in relationship with other people that learn the most, and we have the opportunity to grow the most. And I was talking with a good friend yesterday about this, how we think like we've been saying, like, quarantine time, oh, this is the perfect time to like really get quiet and really go deep into your practice and really like lean on, you know, our meditation and this sort of thing, right? But I think it's a myth to believe that you have to do that in order to have a relationship with bliss or with joy or with God, whatever you want to call it. Like there is a way to be in such a state and still be busy and still have jobs and still have things to do. I think of Mother Teresa. Do you think she ever had like a quiet day in her life? Probably not. She dedicated her life to helping the hungry, the poor, the needy. And her devotion to God expressed itself in her daily deeds. And maybe, yeah, she was tired because of the work, but it was only in the work that she deepened that relationship to source, that relationship to creator. So I'm starting to play with this idea, like, I don't have to be quarantined. I don't have to be in a cave. I don't have to say goodbye to I don't have to say goodbye to my world. There's a way to weave my spiritual practice into my world. There's a way to weave my spiritual practice in my relationship with other people. There's a way for me to practice yoga with my sons, even if we're not on the mat doing asana. And I really like that this sutra kind of, like, they're all reminding us that you'll fall back. You'll get that sort of spring back where you go back to old ways. And then it's up to you to make this conscious choice. It's like, it's your conviction, it's your commitment. Where, like, what do you want? You want to be miserable with your family? You want to talk shit about the people that you love? You want to like be in discord with the people you live with? Or do you want to be a contributor to peace on earth? Like, peace on earth means peace in my household too, you know, not just peace out there in the world.
Well, it's more important than if you can't set that in your household. It's like the ripple effect, right? Like, if we manage to find that equanimous place, then it's easier for everyone around us to be a little calmer. If you're going around or crazy all day, it's just gonna, that's what you're gonna set for everyone else around you. And starting at home, it's so important, I feel. And we're teaching our kids, who will eventually teach their kids.
Yeah. And it's like children don't learn by telling.
Nope.
Like when I was little, my mom used to say, you do as I say, not as I do. But children don't learn that way. Children learn by modeling behavior. So when my kid does something, I can look outward, but the truth is he learned it from me. He learned it from my household. So when I look at my kid and I don't like something my kid is doing, I can't look out there. I got to look within, because I'm the one setting the example. And it's like, if I want peace with my sons, they're teenagers, so it's easy to fight with them. Although I'm very, very blessed that we have not been fighting. It's actually been really nice. It's not even the point. I'm just saying, like, it's you. It's me. It's always me. It's never anybody else. It's always me. Even my children. Like, my children are gonna model what I do, just because that's how you grow up. When you're a kid, you're like a little sponge. You do what the people around you are doing. And I feel like even in like work relationships or business relationships, like sometimes other people are whatever, jerks or whatever, but really it's always me. There was a part where he said, I think you were saying, where you have to like be responsible. And it's like, yeah, I have to be responsible for my life, to be responsible for my world, to be responsible for my mind, be responsible for my practice. I can't live my life pointing at other people and saying, well, they don't have yoga in their life, or they don't have Jesus in their heart. You know, it's like, do I have Jesus in my heart? Do I have a yoga practice in my life? And then from there, what's possible, you know? And I feel like relationships, like I can't even imagine myself in an ashram. I would probably be mad at everybody. Like when you look at your relationships, they're such an indicator for what's going on. You know, like anyone that you have discord with, or like especially the people that are close to you, that's an indicator right there. When you don't have peace in your own circle, that's a wake-up call, I think. You know, and I am waking up to it. Like every time I have an upset with my family members, like it's an opportunity not for me to look at them, it's an opportunity for me to look inward, you know. I get a daily lesson every time I see my grandma on this one. Anyway.
Yeah, Deepak Chopra has a quote that says, all relationships are mirrors to ourselves. Yeah. I think that's very true. Mm-hmm. And I recently moved in with my boyfriend for the first time. And we moved in December. And before that, I was living with my parents. And I was thinking, well, things between my parents and me can be... I mean, I have a great relationship with them, but we are different on a lot of things. And we think differently on a lot of things. And I had this thing in my mind where I was like, once I move out, I'm going to be able to be the person that I want to be finally. And I'll just have the space to just like not be burdened by their opinions or held back by what they think I should be doing or whatever it is. And then I learned that after moving that I still have the same, like that didn't go away. And I still care what they think. It's just that they're not in my physical space anymore. But those things still exist, and you're still dealing with them on a daily basis because they're such an integral part of who you are and who you've become that it's hard to just, it becomes hard to just detach from that. But having a little space from them has helped in some ways, just in giving me the space to process the way that I perceive my relationship with them. So now I'm able to step outside a little bit more instead of being sort of like in the chaos of what they're saying and you know, arguments or whatever. And just kind of have space to understand that my reactions to them when I was in the house are still just my reactions. It doesn't, it's triggered by what they say or what they do or what they think, but it's not the cause of my pain. The cause of my pain in relation to that is my own perception of it.
Yeah. There's that quote, I don't know who said it, but you think you're enlightened, go live with your family for a week.
That's from that.
Yeah.
That's my like every summer, like, and I'm really sad right now. Like Mother's Day, I took Bill's class and I was laying on the floor for a while, just bawling my eyes out because my parents were supposed to be here right now. And while I am so grateful I'm not stuck in the house with my mother, because I don't know how that would work out, it's sad that I didn't get this time with them. And chances are we're not going to be able to go home this summer. So all this stuff just coming up. But every summer before I go home, all this stress just builds up of me being there in their house with my kids and how the way we react to one another, like it snowballs into my kids acting crazy and it all builds up. And it took years to like, it took like a ridiculous amount of time. I've been here for 20 years and a huge distance between us. It's not like I can just drive over and go see them. I talk to them every day, but that's it. To realize what you were saying, Ashley, that like the way we react and trigger one another and like the way my mom triggers me, it has really nothing to do with her. It's her. A lot of it has to do with her relationship with her own mother, which has nothing to do with me. But then the way I react has nothing to do with her. It's all. And when I like just lay there sitting about it, like just thinking, and you start filtering through, you know, like how easy it is to say, because she does this and she does that and she does this and she does that. And the truth is, okay, but what am I doing? Like, how am I pulling this way and pulling that way and my expectations? And now I see it in my, like when I see it in my daughter too, like she does certain things that somehow in some insane manner, she acts a lot like my mom. Like, and in my head, I'll be like, and if I'm not careful, then I'm going back into this whole craziness that I've had with my mother.
You know, Ashley said something that's a little bit different than this. Everything that the people are saying in terms of what we bring to relationships and our perceptions are what often colors the nature of the interaction, all resonates. But Ashley said she thought she would have all of this freedom to be who she really is once she moved out of the house and away from the circles, good and bad, tension and happiness of family. And then she got out and she thought, holy crap, Batman, you know, this is not what I thought it would be. And it's true. I think the freedom, that kind of freedom weighs a lot because it means you got a lot of work to do. It's the same in relationships throughout your life. I once had a very directive, and I think I feel free to say bitchy and narcissistic boss. And so there were a group of us directors, and we would all dread our weekly meetings with, you know, group meetings with the boss, et cetera. And this boss and I had a very frank relationship. And she once told me, you guys all think that when I retire, everything will be better because I'll be gone, but it won't. And she was, of course, right. A little sidebar, when she retired, she kept on coming back, so she never really left, but which was not good. But it's true. The freedom that you think you're going to have, you actually do have, because I think being removed from the interactions really does open up more of the world to you, but it weighs a lot. So thank you for saying that, Ashley.
Yeah, having the physical space definitely helped to a degree, but it's just not what I thought was gonna happen.
Yeah, it's
then,
not the answer.
Yeah, and then it's like what he said in the sutra, like now I'm in a new household with a new person who has no idea about, or has some idea, but not a complete idea of like what I'm coming into this with, and who's coming in with their own things. You know what I mean? So it just never ends.
I always think I'm sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
always think it's so interesting. I was just like, I was putting in the group chat, and I think I was talking to Pam or whoever's in that group chat about, I need to get back to morning sadhana practices. And I was just texting Amanda yesterday about this book that I'm reading called Reconciliation, Healing the Inner Child, and is literally talking about all of this in the sutra that you just read. And it's just so interesting that today is a day that I actually woke up and made it on time for this morning's practice, because I moved back in with my parents in November. And actually, I thought the same thing. I moved out a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, freedom. Like, I don't have to deal with their shit anymore. And no, the shit is still there. And I think it even just highlighted things even more. And it was nice to have the freedom to process and deal with stuff on my own and have that physical separation. But it doesn't disappear. And moving back, I always say it's nice to have the opportunity to work through this stuff. I come back to that to, I think it like saves me. Like, okay, this is my opportunity to work through it. It's not always that I feel that way, but, it's here, it's showing up. It's rearing its ugly head in my face. So I might as well do something about it. But thank you for everyone sharing.
It's almost more like an eye opener, because now you have the space, and when stuff comes up, that person that you maybe were blaming or for like whatever came up, that person is not even there anymore. And maybe it might be somebody else triggering it, but so you get to this place where you have to make a choice, pick someone else to blame and point your finger at, or take the responsibility and realize that this is the work that you have to do, and like this is whatever it is that you have to burn through and work through.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting what Adriana was saying about the Venus retrograde too, and then the fact that Michelle, you ended up here this morning of all mornings with the book and everything. It all makes sense, and I think like it's like what he was saying about living in the ashram, like when you're with new people outside of your family or whoever it is you have these relationships with, when you go into new relationships and you start to realize that the same things are bothering you, or that you're feeling the same ways, but now the circumstances or the environment is totally different. It's like you don't really have a choice, but I mean, I guess you do have a choice. You can just continue to project and to think that it's just everyone else, but at a certain point, you have to look inside.
It's the relationship that one has with themselves, no? And like, it's funny that during this the quarantine, my son, I had him for like 2 weeks, and I felt like, oh my God, like now I can take a break. And then other issues happen. But now I have time for myself, and I started to realize that I used my family as a distraction to not like really see what I'm carrying, what like, and I noticed that because I don't even acknowledge my own voice, my inner child, people don't acknowledge the like my voice. And now that I have this time to actually be with myself, it makes me realize like, wow, like now I'm honoring my emotions, now I'm honoring my thoughts. Doesn't necessarily, it's just a conditioning that I've that I'm in. And I feel like that's actually helped me a lot more now, be able to be there for my relationships, the kind of intimacy I have with others, like family members and friends. But yeah, it's so nice. Detaching from everything and really evaluating yourself it's challenging, but the way he puts it, it's like yeah, like we just seek for happiness, and then like we once something that temporary satisfaction is gone, then we seek for another one. Like we have to really look within and evaluate how the relationship we have with ourselves. Yeah.
So it's time to meditate, but I'm gonna read one verse. So maybe we can all keep that throughout the day. I'm not saying that because everything is painful, we should run from it. That does not work.
True.
So no running away today. Let's settle. Let's do it's already 8:12. So let's do a few rounds of alternate nose breathing. Sitting up nice and tall. Using the right hand, take a deep inhale, full inhale. Exhale fully. Closing the right nostril with the right thumb. Inhaling deeply to the left. Right ring finger closes to left. Exhale right. Inhaling right. Close and hold. Exhaling left. And continue on your own for 3 more rounds. Once you get to that last round, making sure to finish off with an exhale through the left nostril. And then allow yourself to settle into your meditation practice space. Just dropping in. If you need to set a timer, allow yourself to do that. I'll be setting a timer right now. Gently bring the hands to the heart center. Finding a deep, deep inhale here. Exhale deeply, side out to the mouth. Let it all